Alright, we're trying from a standstill. Gear 1. And there you go.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Yeah, so as y'all can already tell, same issue I had with this and its battery might just be going through the same with this, except a little different because this time it's not a battery issue, but it is a possibility of being robbed out of another K issue. As you can tell the title and the thumbnail, it's the controller. So for anyone who has seen my review on this bike, I have mentioned the error I've been having with this controller, but I kind of blamed it on maybe it's a bad tune. But that was 3 months ago, and I'm still having this issue. What is this issue? What is this error that I'm having that is haunting me? Well, that would be the phase current overflow. Still barely even know what the hell that means. No other error at this point. Not even a throttle error anymore, just that one, and I cannot figure it out. As I have my phone up right now, I have literally changed the settings so many times. I still feel like there's a decent bit I have to learn of this controller, but I don't know how much more settings I can change. Not only am I not so sure what other setting I could change to fix this issue, I don't know what specific setting it could be that's causing this issue, if it's even a setting anymore. I've had the max line current at where it's at now, well, max phase being 1700, boost being 1800. Turns out the boost doesn't work unless you have a button. If you don't have a button, it does nothing. So originally I had this at 1700, phase current overflow in gear 3. Turned it down. Maybe I was doing too much, even though it didn't make sense because I didn't hard launch when I was doing the top speed test. I'm not gonna just slam it. Here we go. Okay, well, we just cut off. Phase current overflow protect. Oh shit, and it cuts right back on. I've changed my ratios and speed, ratios and gear. I've changed so much. I've even messed around with functions, at least this one PC13 setting to raise response, you know, trying to get some torque out of this, the most torque I can get out of it at least. I even changed the PID parameters. Nothing at all. Can't figure it out. Literally cannot figure it out. In case I can possibly get some help on what's happening with the controller, or if it's just a bad controller, or maybe it's not even a bad controller. What if it's a bad motor? At this point, I'm thinking something's bad. Again, other people have simply changed the settings on their bike so easily and has not had such a difficult time. Even people who've had this controller for the first time, kind of like me. Not much people are having this issue, and the little bit of people that are having this issue also cannot figure it out at all. Not a single person, from what I know of, not a single person has found a solution to what this is. But again, it's a phase current overflow. I did change one recent setting, and where is it? I'm not on it. If you get a close-up look, I need to find it. That's right, I did full battery cutoff. That was at 1250. I turned it down to 1180. Some people act like it's supposed to be the gauge to your percentage on the app, but just in case it's causing other errors, I changed it, I lowered it. I haven't came back out here yet to test because I'm kind of burnt out on this. So yeah, that's really the problem. And I guess the next thing I might as well mention again, if anybody knows what's going on, well, really what I'm just trying to figure out, is it still a bad tune or is something damaged? I think something's damaged. I think I was sent a dud, to be honest, thanks to AliExpress. But now I kind of got to figure out what is the dud. Is it actually the controller or is it the motor? While I say it may be the motor, it is a phase current overflow. I would assume phase current overflow is an overflow phase. And obviously we got our big 3 phase wires right there. So I heard this somewhere. Well, I just searched it up, phase current overflow. And it wasn't specifically on this motor, it wasn't specifically on QS motors, but it was on 3-phase electric motors. A phase current overflow is typically when one wire is being supplied more than the rest. They all 3 need to be equally supplied. So what a phase current overflow could be is that one wire is getting way more than everything else. There's an unbalance. I'm wondering if that's the issue, which I would assume it is, because that's the error I get on this phone. Again, y'all saw the intro. I did forget to put it in a narrow mode, so it probably was hard to see, but I'll show a clip again. I have a clip screen recorded through the phone of the phase current overflow. So that's what it looks like. So again, it's a phase current overflow. That's the only error I'm getting that I just can't seem to fix. If that's the case, and that is what's happening, one of these are being given too much current, then the next issue is that because the motor's not regulating that? Is that something the motor's supposed to regulate, or is that something the controller's supposed to regulate? I would assume that's something the controller's supposed to do, so which is why I'm still kind of thinking it's a bad controller, but why I still may think it could be a bad motor instead of a bad controller, because the way this motor sounds, I don't really watch videos or hear too much people free-rolling their motor, and I feel like it might have been sounding like this. It was just hard to hear, but now that I have it on a metal frame where it'll vibrate through the bike, it's louder to hear. But I'll play a clip. I have two. So this is the first clip on how it sounded with my original settings. So 4, 8, and 12. When it was at 4, 8, and 12, it sounded like this. Yeah, really loud, nasty, like a magnet rubbing on something. I don't know, something hard, like it's scraping. But it only does it at low RPMs. Now, ever since I set the KI, all of them to 1, 1, and 1, it sounds like this. So it sounds a lot smoother, it sounds a little bit better, but kind of still feel like it sounds a little weird. And regardless, because it changed within changing settings in the controller, I'm still wondering, is that the controller giving this motor or supplying this motor faulty, you know, something, faulty current, faulty voltage, whatever it is. So again, I'm trying to figure that out, but because the motor sounded that way, I'm wondering, is there something wrong with the motor? But again, I want to make sure, because I don't want to go into buying near in the future, buying a new something, and next thing you know, that wasn't even the problem. I'm still having the same error because it was something else. So that would be double the money, or actually triple, since if this is damaged, I'm already gone out of a K. So I have to buy another thing and it's the wrong thing, that'll be 2, and then I'll have to buy something else, and that'll be 3. So yeah, again, I'm really trying to figure this out. So with the settings being out the way, one thing I have noticed though, and it took a while, I didn't realize this kept happening. It took a while for me to notice, but again, I'm reshooting this little part right here, because not only do I just want to go straight in into giving y'all the details instead of me ranting and being pissed off about how I've been duped out of another $1,000. When I was trying to get the bike to cut off and show y'all what was happening during this clip, I'll show it, me driving. As you can see, I'm accelerating. It wouldn't cut off. I was surprised. It wouldn't cut off. Now, I think that was also during, like, what was it, 2 or 3 days of it actually not cutting off. I was surprised, but I thought if I slam it again, it would cut off. It wouldn't cut off. Now, during that video, during that recording, I wasn't fully charged. The battery was charged up to 106 volts. So, wouldn't cut off at 106 volts. So I'm like, okay, bam, it's still going strong. Maybe, because I told y'all in that clip that I was testing new settings. The settings I just showed you are the new settings. So I'm like, okay, it's not cutting off, that's cool. It's not cutting off during mid-range torque out on the road, nice. So I'm like, I thought, okay, you know what? Let me test this for a week straight. I'm not gonna get too excited. Let me test it for a week straight to see how good it will do. How long will this last? If this lasts for at least a week with no cutting off, I wouldn't have a reason to anyways, because I have phase amp set to 1500, battery amp set to 700. Obviously can do 800, but I don't want to max it out. I am in Vegas. It's super hot out here, so summer right now, so I don't want to heat the controller up too much. Even though I have it water cooled, let's not stress it out. I fully charged the battery so I could start testing for a week straight. Next morning, once the battery was fully charged, went to take it out. After 2 to 3 days consistently not cutting off on a non-full charged battery, it instantly, and I mean instantly, cuts off on a full charged battery. Now that's something I want to get into as well. The battery is a 96 volt, aka it's a 28 series, so it's 100.8 volts nominal, Fully charged, it can do 117.6, but I typically only charge it to 115.6. Yeah, 115.8, 115.6. So all good. And now that I'm remembering, it seems like every time I fully charge my battery, the controller cuts out so much. But when the battery is at a certain voltage that's a little lower, probably somewhere from around 109 and lower, it doesn't cut. Now you could say, well, that's probably a battery issue, and that's something I should have mentioned earlier that I didn't mention, so I'm gonna mention it now. No, it's not the battery that's causing the cutoff. Number one, as you can see, this is a big bike. This build was clearly not cheap. I got a big motor, I got a big controller, so of course I'm going to pair it with an absolute monster of a battery, and that's exactly what I did. Did a whole battery build on it. If you're interested, check it out. I'll even throw something up at the top. The battery is, again, 28 series, 21 parallel, Molicel P42A cells. So if you know enough about batteries, or at least battery cells, you know, you build your own DIY stuff, then you would know that that is an absolutely ridiculous battery. As you can see how tall this whole box is, okay? This is my hand. My hand's not the biggest, but this is my hand. The battery's up to here. It's a big 93-pound battery. Molicel proclaimed that the P42A can do 45 amps continuous. So obviously 45 times 21, actually no, my math wasn't mathing, that's 945 amps. So supposedly the battery can do 945 amps continuous. The BMS is 380 amps continuous, 950 amps peak. I have indeed checked the BMS before when it has done its cutoff. The BMS did not trip. The BMS showed 0 errors. And let me remind you, because I don't think I said it, these cutoffs happen at each and every gear. So gear 1, 2, and 3. So gear 1, yes, it still cuts out of gear 1. This is a ND96 1800 controller. So it's supposed to be able to do 800 battery amps, 1500 phase amps. Yet gear 1, it'll cut out with its phase current overflow at 25% battery amps, 50% phase amps, which is 175 battery amps, 600 phase amps. So we're nowhere near the max of the controller. We're nowhere near max of the motor. We're nowhere near max of the battery. So again, no, it's not the battery, but again, I've noticed that it consistently starts to do these phase current overflow cutouts, and it'll cut out fast. It will not waste time to cut out when the battery is fully charged. So now I'm wondering, what's that about? Am I having a faulty error? Is this controller not handling that voltage well, and it's causing a glitch? Because I wouldn't think I'd get a phase current overflow over high voltage. I would think it would be an over voltage. In the settings, the over voltage protection is set to 121. Is it a different setting that stops that? So again, if anybody's out there watching, cares to comment, knows anything about anything, has even had this error, you may still kind of be new to the controller, but you had this error and this change worked for you, please let me know, because I'm still very clueless. But I noticed that's when it cuts out the most, is when the battery is charged, sitting at about 115 to 110-ish volts. And it seems like at about 109 or 108 volts and lower, it's fine. It will not cut out like that. Because the 3 consistent days of driving and it not having it cut off was around 107 down to 106 volts. And again, never cut. I thought it was fine. So yeah, that's that, and don't think I'm forgetting anything else on that topic. So now that's where I get into the topic of, it's gonna take me a minute to figure this issue out, especially because I don't have, I have multiple controllers. I can pull controllers out of my bikes. The problem is QS180 is an encoder controller. So I only have one encoder controller, one encoder motor, and that's on this bike. So I'm gonna have to figure out what's the best way I can diagnose. The best thing I can think of is taking my voltage clamp, whatever it's called, I forgot what it's called, and clamping around these wires and trying to check, without it cutting off, trying to look down and see, find some way to record it, because I don't want to look down too much while being on the road, you know, crash into something. But try and see which one might be getting more than the other, and is there an out of balance. Right now, I can only assume that that has to be the case simply because of what I searched up online. But yeah, now I'm gonna try to diagnose, and while I diagnose, obviously, I might not be able to ride this bobber around. Now, one way I can ride this bobber around, give you content with the bobber, and just for my enjoyment, be able to still ride it. I don't think, I would have to try again, but I don't think when I had gear 1 set to 25% battery amps, but 25% phase amps, I don't think it has ever cut out. The acceleration is really slow. With those settings, I've gotten up to 71 in gear 1, so I can move. It's just, I'm not gonna be fast off the line at all. But again, I don't think it's ever cut out with those settings. So I could play around with 25% phase amps. I could play around, maybe trying to turn it up to 30, 40, see how high I can go and see how it stays, and then test it again for a week to see if it'll eventually cut out with those low settings. And then that's the only way I'll be able to give y'all content with it until I can figure out the issue and then replace the issue. With that being said, if that doesn't work, I know the views are probably gonna drop, but I'm gonna have to occupy y'all with some Surron content again because we're going through this dilemma again. So hope y'all don't mind that too much. That's all I can do right now because again, I think I just got mobbed out of a K. But you know what? Came across a little website, Econic Cycles. I've actually just bought something from them, and hopefully again, with me probably not being able to ride the bobber because of this error, I got a little something coming up, and hope y'all enjoy that one. I hope I can get it done soon. I'm actually really only waiting for one thing. Everything else is ready. I'm waiting for one thing, and that one thing is taking it's already taken a few weeks, so I'm not sure how much more weeks it's gonna take to get here. But I'm hoping to be able to occupy with y'all with that soon. I also got another plan that I'm hoping to be able to get done. I'm hoping to occupy y'all with the Surron. I got some other ideas, some people that want to ride, and hopefully I'll be able to ride with them and get some stuff going until I can get the bobber back together. All right, so I kind of forgot that these action cameras are not quite meant to sit in this dry heat. It needs a little bit of movement to get that breeze, but I ain't got nothing else to say anyways. All I got left to say is, if I want to stay updated with the issue, whether I need to fix a tune or replace a little something, make sure y'all go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to get electrified with the rest of the people, become electric with the rest of the people. It has been, stay tuned for more, and I'm out. Peace.